Hello guys, in this video we're going to be going through my race and qualifying setup for the BMW M4 GT3 car at Spa on ACC for the PS5. So we're going to start straight away with my qualifying reference lap. This was set in a free practice session in offline mode. So coming across the line then to begin the lap, you can see the tyre pressures are pretty much okay. Looking for the 100 metre board on the left hand side down to first gear, and then try to avoid any wheel spin on the exit of the corner. You can see I've got traction control set to 4, and that's just to control any kind of wheel spin in the car coming out of the slow corners. So heading to our Rouge then, this is completely flat, and you want to get as straight through here as possible, and you can take quite a lot of curb on the left hand side without receiving a track limits penalty. Onto the back straight then, and this car does have 6 gears, but we're going to keep it in 5th, so just really revving it out, going all the way up to the braking zone, braking just before the curbs on the left hand side down to 2nd. You really want to get right over that curb on the right, right over the curb on the left if you can, being very gentle with the throttle, an early upshift to 3rd, and then trying to clip the curb on the right hand side to get a bit of rotation, braking again at the start of the curbs on the left and down to 2nd gear, keeping it as close as possible to the right hand side and not running too wide on the exit, leaving it in 3rd for the left-hander. And again, you just want to try and clip that curb on the left hand side for some rotation and getting on the power very early then. Staying in 3rd just prevents a little bit of wheel spin. Dab of the brakes and down to 4th gear. It's very easy to lose the rear going through here, and once again getting on the power as soon as you can. It's also easy to run wide there if you take a bit too much speed into the corner. Braking at the start of the curbs then and down into 2nd gear just to help with the rotation through here. Accelerating up into 3rd, and we do the left hand in 3rd, making sure we don't get any wheel spin on the exit of the corner, being very gentle with the steering. Down to 2nd gear again to rotate the car and on the power as soon as we can, flat through the right hander, and you just want to be as gentle with the steering input as you can so that you don't scrub off any speed going on to the back straight. You can see we're 5 tenths up on our previous best at the moment, so flat all through here, right over to the right hand side and get most of the car onto the green. That just enables us to straighten out the car, straighten out the line through the fast left hander, and then braking as late as possible. I like to turn in a little bit early here as it just helps to scrub a little bit of the speed off, and then making sure we don't get any wheel spin on the exit of the corner, using as much of the track available to us and across the line. And then we've done a 2:17.0. So 2:16s are definitely possible with a perfect lap, and these were set in quite cool conditions. I think the track temperature was around about 21, 22, we'll see in just a second. And please bear in mind that the track temperature and air temperature plays a big part in what sort of lap times you can get. So generally the hotter it is, the slower the lap times will be. So if you were to go into hot lap mode and put the settings on as cool as possible, you will go a lot faster. So let's have a look at the setup then. So we'll start with the tyres. As always, the tyre pressures vary massively depending on how hot the track is at the time. The setup I'm using is pretty similar to the default aggressive setup. I think the only thing I've changed in terms of the tyres, other than the pressures, is lowering the rear camber a little bit, just to try and help even out some of the tyre temperature across the spread of the tyre. Electronics, we've got traction control on 4 and the ABS on 3. So fuel and strategy, we're using the Type 1 brake pads because they are the fastest brake pads to use in any session under 2 hours in length. We've fueled the car for 22 litres, which enables us to have 3 flying laps, and we actually set our fastest lap time on flying lap number 2. I haven't really changed anything in the mechanical grip section other than the brake bars. We've just moved that more towards the rear. Same with the dampers. I haven't really adjusted the dampers at all from the aggressive setup, I don't think. And then aero is where we've made a few changes. So the rear wing we've lowered to 4 to give us a bit more speed on the straights. The BMW isn't particularly quick in the straight line, so that's why we've gone down with the rear wing. And then to compensate for a little bit of loss of downforce at the rear, I've also lowered the ride height at the rear very slightly as well. The front ride height is already on the minimum, and then the brake ducts we've adjusted based on the temperatures today. So we've been able to get the front down to 3 and the rear down to 2. Ideally you want these as low as possible without the brakes starting to overheat. Just remember that any adjustment to the brake ducts will also affect the tyres. So if you close the brake ducts a little bit more, so lower that number, then the tyres will get hotter and you'll need to lower the pressures a little bit. But again, it's all dependent on the track temperatures. Generally, if the track temperature is hotter, you want to make sure everything else is a little bit cooler, pressures are lower. This is why I've saved this setup as Qualy 1621, and that refers to the ambient temperature and the track temperature, so 16 degrees and 21 degrees. Then that means that whenever I jump into an online race, if the track temperature is 5 degrees higher, I know that I need to maybe decrease the tyre pressures a little bit and potentially consider opening the rear brake ducts, for example. For the race setup, the first thing I need to adjust is the fuel level. So I know that in this car, generally you need about 25 litres of fuel per 10-minute race. So if I was going to be doing a 20-minute race, for example, I would increase the fuel load to at least 50, but normally I'll go just a little bit higher, 52 or maybe 53, just to give me a little bit of a safety net. If you saw a video where I was racing at Spa a couple of weeks ago, I did run out of fuel when I tried to push it a little bit too close to the limit. Finally, for the race, I will also lower the tyre pressures by 0.2 psi, providing the track temperatures are the same as qualifying, and this is because I just put a little bit more pressure in the tyre for qualifying so that they get to where I want them to be a little bit earlier. But in the race, it doesn't matter if it takes a little bit longer for them to get to pressure. The idea is you want to keep them in a good range for the whole race distance. You don't want them going over the limit too early. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you again very soon.